All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get started. As the chairman of the Republican Party of Polk County, it is my privilege to welcome our elected officials, candidates, delegates, and honored guests, and to call to order the 2014 County Convention. As the temporary chair, at this time I'd like to welcome Aaron Sewell, youth pastor of St. Paul Presbyterian Church, to provide today's invocation. Please rise and remain standing until we conclude with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Everyone, please bow your heads. Father God, we thank you for another day full of opportunities to minister, be ministered to, and to live blessed. As we go through this convention, may you guide us with the words to say and the actions to take, as we work towards coming together as a party and towards welcoming others from outside the party. Lord, let us honor you with every interaction we have today. And though we may disagree, help us to listen and help us to disagree respectfully. We pray for all our elected officials that they may look towards you for guidance, and we ask that you bless our nation and help us to turn back to you as our source of strength. For these things we pray, Lord. Amen. Amen.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to welcome Captain Nicole Woodruff of the U.S. Army Reserve to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, it's my honor to recognize our first speaker of the day. Be seated, please. Thank you. At this time, it's my honor to recognize our first speaker of the day, who needs no further introduction. Please help me welcome Governor Terry Branstad.
Will Rogers and Sharon Wisenan, and all the Polk County Central Committee members and volunteers that helped put this convention together, thank you very much. During the past 3 years, it's been an honor to serve as your governor and to work with Lieutenant Governor Kim Reynolds. I cannot think of a more enjoyable and challenging job than to serve as your governor. And I thank you for the support and the assistance that you've given me to have this amazing opportunity to serve you again. In 2010, we ran on a mission of leading Iowa's economic comeback. After years of previous Democratic administrations following the Washington, D.C. playbook of runaway spending, high unemployment, record deficits, and plunging us into debt, we chose a new direction. We face big challenges. Projected $900 million budget deficit after years of spending more than the state was taking in. The unemployment rate was over 6%, and then we had the Culver iJobs debt that has to be paid back over 25 years. The film office scandal and the across-the-board, 10% across-the-board cut that hurt our schools and local governments. Iowans wanted conservative leadership with a vision to move Iowa forward, to compete, to be innovative, to succeed, and to have a bright future. We rolled up our sleeves and we went to work. We got Iowa's fiscal house in order, thanks to the Republican majority in the House that worked with us. And the Republicans focusing on good quality jobs, we're bringing Iowa back to new heights. Exciting and amazing things are happening. Because all you have to do is look around here in Aiken. This community now has a Republican senator and 2 Republican representatives in the Tacoma County community. The state of Iowa now has the 5th lowest unemployment in the nation at 4.2%. And it's all you have to do to know the difference between leadership is look at our neighbor Illinois, run by the same Democrats that run Cook County and the United States government. While we're 5th, they're 49. Their unemployment's gone up while ours has gone down. They have the biggest state and local debt per capita, the worst unfunded pension system, and they're $6 billion behind in paying their bills. I saw one of the people in the Iowa poll today said, yeah, thank God I moved from Illinois to Iowa. We want more people to do that. I'm proud to say we've reduced the size and cost of government. We have 1,000 fewer state employees than we had the day that Kim Reynolds and I took office. With the help of the Iowa legislature, last year we passed the biggest property tax cut in Iowa history, and you'll see it in your tax bills next fall. We're reforming our state education system, giving more independence to homeschoolers and more support for our private schools, and a new teacher leadership program for our public schools that rewards good teachers and take on more responsibility to improve achievement for all Iowa students. I'm proud to say for the first time in 30 years, no increase in tuition in our state universities, and if the legislature passes my budget, it'll be 2 years in a row, no increase in student tuition in our state universities. We're addressing student debt and encouraging students to only borrow what they absolutely need, not all that they can borrow. Because you got to pay it back with interest. I'm proud to say that we are supporting and defending human life at all stages of development. Our home-based Iowa program is supporting and encouraging veterans to come to Iowa. We're no longer going to tax their military pensions, and we're going to provide educational opportunities and opportunities for them to get good jobs with good companies in a great state. We're fighting Obama in his efforts to cut the Iowa National Guard, along with the National Guards of the other 49 states. The President and the Department of Defense failed to consult with the governors in putting their budget together. And I'm proud to say 49 other governors have joined me in objecting to their budget and requesting and offering an alternative. These defense cuts will not only hurt our national defense, they will hurt our homeland security and the people who have time and time again volunteered to fight for our country and to preserve freedom around the world. fighting the Obama EPA's effort to reduce the renewable fuel standard. And I'm hopeful that we're going to be able to win that battle as well. This is a wrong step to reduce what has worked in reducing our dependency on foreign oil, creating great jobs all over Iowa. We have 42 ethanol plants, we have 12 biodiesel plants, two new ethanol plants that use cellulosic ethanol. Thank you for that. That's the new cellulosic ethanol under construction in the state of Iowa. And we don't want to see this progress turn back. We don't want to see the growth and the success that we've had turn back. We will continue to work to create more jobs in Iowa, to grow the economy. We recognize that Iowa has benefited from a strong agricultural economy, and we don't want this administration to damage and hurt that. We're working hard every day to provide the most competitive investment opportunities for businesses to choose to locate and create great jobs in Iowa, and we're going to continue to build on that success. I'm pleased to say that this week, Site Selection Magazine, which the economic developers from around the world read, has ranked Iowa number 6 of all the 50 states, and they gave Sioux City, Council Bluffs, and Dubuque top spots for their population category in economic development. And you know our capital city of Des Moines has received numerous recognition for what it's doing in economic development and opportunities for young entrepreneurs. I want to make 2014 the best campaign that we've ever run. We have just begun. I'm proud to say we filed 10,745 nomination signatures and met the minimum requirements in not 10 counties as the law required, but in all 99 counties. Lieutenant Governor and I go to every county, and the Lieutenant Governor today is in Blackhawk and Lynn and Johnson and Scott County, while I'm here in Polk County and Warren County and Dallas County. Lieutenant Governor and I really sincerely want to lead this state to great new opportunities. Our team is building a strong grassroots effort in all 99 counties, and I believe, and I'm running a few campaigns, I believe this could be a great year for Republicans. Americans are tired of this administration. They want a new direction. They want us to get this federal deficit under control, and they want to focus on revitalizing the private sector instead of growing the public sector. I want to thank you for helping me carry Polk County in the last 3 elections. Let's make it 4 in a row. And I have my sights on Lee County. I've never carried Lee County. But this time it's going to be different. Because Senate Democrats like Bolcom and Hatch have ridiculed the good quality jobs that are being created there by the Iowa fertilizer plants. Over 1,000 of them in construction already. There's going to be over 1,600 by this summer. It's going to reduce the cost of fertilizer for Iowa farmers by over $700 million a year, and they say that's a bad deal. They don't know what they're talking about, and the people in Lee County that are getting the jobs, and by the way, the unemployment rate's dropped by 40% in Lee County. We're going to beat them in Lee County. We can't do this alone. Lieutenant Governor and I are going to work extraordinarily hard. I've always said, I've never lost an election because nobody's ever going to outwork me. And we're going to prove it again this year. But we need your support and your help this could be not only a great year for the governor and lieutenant governor, but for our whole statewide ticket. And we have a great group of candidates. Mary Bozeman, our new state auditor. Just like David Bott, she's a CPA. She's also the first woman auditor we've ever had in our state. She was elected 3 times as the Story County auditor. She's doing a great job as a watchdog for the taxpayers. We need to elect her as the auditor for the next 4 years. We have an outstanding Secretary of Agriculture, Bill Northey, who's a great voice for agriculture, and he's a great ally to work with. We need to give Bill Northey a resounding re-election as Secretary of Agriculture. Paul Pate is coming back to run for Secretary of State. I think Pate for Secretary of State sounds pretty good. We need to keep that office for Republicans. And then we have the United States Senate seat. For the first time in 30 years, we're not running against an incumbent. We've got a great opportunity to give Senator Grassley somebody that votes with him. The Democrats have made a big mistake. The Congress is in disrepute, and they've chosen another congressman to run for the Senate. A congressman that's been there to vote for all these deficits, voted against free trade, authored cash for clunkers, one of the dumbest things that ever passed in the Congress. They chose the wrong one. We have a great group of candidates running. This is a wide open race. And whoever you support in this primary, once the primary is over, we have got to unite and we have got to support our Republican candidate for the Senate. We can win this Senate seat in 2014. And of course, Congressman Latham won this congressional seat for us in the last election. I think we're all kind of sorry that he's retiring. He's been a great senator. He's been a great representative. I think he would have been a great senator too. I wasn't able to convince him to do that. But Latham has done a great job, and we need to replace him with another great Republican congressman. Now, you know, there's many really good candidates running. Again, we need to unite behind the nominee of our party, and we need to keep this seat, the 3rd Congressional District, in Republican hands. We can do it in 2014. Ultimately, I believe that work that we've been doing for the people of Iowa, the success that we've had, gives us a great platform to win a great Republican team victory in 2014. We need to work hard. We need to work together. We need to make sure that the people of Iowa recognize if they want to have a bright and prosperous future, they need to elect Republicans in 2014. Iowans deserve a bright future. They deserve that opportunity right here in this great state. This is the future that we can build. This is the future that we must build. This is the future that we will build together. Thank you. God bless you. God bless Polk County and the state of Iowa.
At this time, it's my privilege to recognize our next guest, who's a candidate running for Congress. Please help me welcome Robert Kramer.
Congress? And the answer is simple. I want to build the biggest bridge ever, that is connecting reality to Washington, D.C. That is the problem, though, the disconnect between Washington and here. Picture a bureaucracy who keeps creating program after program, and it would be as a businessman here in Iowa trying to create jobs. You have an administration who really thinks it's the purpose of government to solve every one of our problems and to kind of scatter the wealth around to his buddies, and versus us here in Iowa trying to overcome that red tape and overcome that bureaucracy and try to grow businesses. So I'm not sure if in the history of our country, we've ever had such a big disconnect between Washington and we the people here in Iowa. But what better way to bridge that gap than to send a bridge builder to Washington, D.C.? Some of you have heard my bio, and you can find out more information on our website, kramerforcongress.com. But the short version is that I grew up outside of West Des Moines here, youngest of 6 kids. I grew up with a family where my parents had experienced the American dream. And they raised us with faith in God and taught us how to give back to others. I've never seen a more generous couple than those two. Well, I went to school in Johnston for high school, went to Iowa State and graduated in construction engineering, and now I'm co-president of Kramer Associates, which is a bridge construction company. But I'm finding it's harder and harder to grow a business here in Iowa with all this stuff coming out of Washington. The original intent of our federal government was really just to protect our rights and protect those unalienable rights that we had. But instead, this administration seems bent on crushing those rights and putting up roadblocks to our businesses. We just finished a bridge out in Fremont, Nebraska last year, where we literally had to spend, and taxpayers had to pay for an extra $2 million because they wouldn't let us touch the sand. This is the Platte River. There's 200 miles of sand there. But because of the pallid sturgeon fish, they were worried you might want to spawn in that little 100-foot area. They said, no, you can't touch the sand. You have to build a temporary bridge to get out into the river to build the final bridge. It's just amazing at the lengths that they're going to make it difficult, and spending more and more of our money. We've got to do something different. Everywhere I go and talk to people, what are the issues? I hear a reoccurring theme. Enough is enough. And I agree, the government's trying to do too much, they're spending too much, they're taxing too much, and they're mandating too much. I agree, enough is enough, and something's got to be done differently. To what end are we fighting for then in America? What is our vision? Well, we need a 5-year plan to balance this budget and to start reducing that crushing debt. We need to remove incredible roadblocks like Obamacare and replace it with some marketplace solutions that can really help people with their needs, but not taking over our economy. We need to, what if we could remove that fear of a cap and trade? We could really get this economy going again. If I ran my business like the federal government, I'd go bankrupt. If the government would start to run like my business, we could all prosper and we could all benefit. We need someone who understands business to go to Washington and try to get America on a different path. One of limited government and of unlimited opportunity for all of us here in the 3rd District as well as across America. This administration seems proud of the number of people they're helping on food stamps. I want to help people get off of food stamps and get a job. And with a job comes pride. We can restore America's pride in it. I haven't given up on this, the greatest country on earth. We can still turn this ship around. The Ford Motor Company has those commercials comparing or and they said, what if it was nuts or bolts? And they show their swimming pool falling apart. Well, they say and is better. Well, in Republican politics, so many times we have to choose between the business guy or the guy who will fight for our social values and our fiscal values. Well, so many times we're forced to choose between moral clarity or our children's prosperity. Well, I say and is better. We can do both. We can bring the whole thing to the table, and we can, and is better. I'm the only businessman. I'm the only businessman outsider in this race. If we're going to change Washington, we have to change who we're going to send to Washington. I will go there. I will fight for life. I will fight for the family, and I'll fight to turn this economy around. If you'll join with me, I need your help. I appreciate you help me tell Washington that enough is enough to help me bridge this gap between reality and DC. Thanks for everything you're doing today, and I hope you have a great day, and hope you'll join with me in this fight. Thank you so much.
I apologize. I was supposed to do this report. The junior delegates can be excused, and you need to go to the Commons area, which is either hallway. You'll need to go down, and Anita Morrill will meet you there and help the junior delegates conduct their business. So juniors are excused at this time. It is now my privilege. It's now my privilege to welcome our next candidate for Congress as well. Please help me welcome Secretary of State Matt Schultz.
Come on. Very good. All right. Good morning. I want to thank you for all of you for being here today. You know, it's because of you that we were able to defeat a popular Democrat incumbent in 2010. And I just want to thank you for all the hard work that you do for the Republican Party and for advancing our causes. It's been a pleasure and a privilege being your Secretary of State. But when Tom Lincoln said he wasn't going to run for re-election, it hit me like a brick. I looked at my wife and my 5 children, and I'm concerned about our country and where it's going. I'm concerned about where we're headed. Things just don't feel right. And I looked at the House of Representatives, and I feel like it's the only thing that's kept the dam from breaking, keeping President Obama and Harry Reid in check. And so I knew I had to do something. Because quite frankly, Washington is broken. It's broken. We need to send somebody who's going to stand up and fight for us, and who's going to go fix Washington. You know, number one, when I go to Washington, I'm going to fight to make sure that we repeal Obamacare. If we want to fix Washington, we have to repeal Obamacare. And we have to put a free market solution in that allows people to purchase insurance across state lines, which allows small businesses to group together, which forces transparency and wellness. We have to replace it with that. But you know, what really concerns me, I've got 5 beautiful kids. But when they were born, they were each born with more than $50,000 of debt. That's immoral. We are spending the future of our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, quite frankly, our great-great-grandchildren, and we're doing it now. It's wrong. We have to stop this, and there's only one way. We have to have a balanced budget amendment. We have to. And honestly, if we want to fix Washington, we need term limits. We have to have term limits. I love Chuck Grassley. But for every Chuck Grassley, there's Chuck Schumer, Harry Reid, Dianne Feinstein, Dick Durbin, go down the list. We can't afford any more of those people going to Washington and staying there forever. If we want to fix Washington, we have to be serious about a constitutional amendment for term limits. We need somebody who's conservative and who's going to go fight. You're going to hear a lot of good candidates talk about what they're going to do, but I've done it. As a city councilman in Council Bluffs, I cut the city tax levy every year. I cut $1 million out of the mayor's budget my first year. And when Dr. Carhart came to Council Bluffs to set up a late-term abortion clinic, he looked at some city property. What did we do? We put a deed restriction saying no abortions could be done on that property. And we stopped Dr. Carhart. Now, you know me as Secretary of State. I'm a fighter. The Des Moines Register and it doesn't like me very much, and neither do the Democrats. And it's because I stand up and I fight for what I believe in. And no matter how hard they attack me, I don't back down. And if you send me to Congress, I will fight for you. But I can't do it by myself. I'm honored to have the endorsement of FreedomWorks. I'm sure if you listen to Rush Limbaugh, you hear him talk a lot about FreedomWorks. And I'm honored to have the endorsement of Rick Santorum. But I want your endorsement. I want your support. because I know I can't do this without you. We beat Michael Morrow in 2010 together, and together I know that you can send me to Congress to fight for you. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for all the support you give us, and I would humbly ask you to go to my website, votematschultz.com, volunteer, and please vote for me on June 3rd. Thank you so much.
All right, we won't have to do a microphone adjustment at this time. It's my pleasure to welcome our next guest. Speaking on behalf of State Auditor candidate, please help me welcome Bernardo Granware.
Thank you. Thanks, Will. Appreciate the introduction. And Mary regrets that she can't be here. Mary Mosman. She is the state auditor. She was appointed as state auditor in May 2013 when State Auditor Dave Bout had to step down because he took a position with a national auditing entity. So he's doing great work on a national basis, but we were very fortunate to have Mary Mosman appointed as the state auditor. And she is appointed as state auditor. I did work for Dave Bout for 9 years, and yeah, Dave Bout, and Mary's doing a great job as a replacement. We are really, I think the governor made a great decision in appointing her, but now she wants to be the elected state auditor and is asking for your support. Mary is was elected as a Story County auditor, and she served it 3 times and served there for 10 years. Most of you know that the county auditor is the commissioner of elections for a county, but what attracted her to the position was the financial aspects of it. She felt that having an accountant in charge of a multi-year or a multi-million-dollar budget was important, and the voters agreed and voted her in 3 times. She is a certified public accountant, and as far as I'm aware, she is the only CPA running for state auditor. So it's a familiar refrain there. She and her husband Dan live in rural Ames, and they're the parents of 4 daughters. So a few top priorities that she has and is continuing as state auditor. Number 1, maintaining the professionalism of the office. Dick Johnson served for 24 years in the capacity of state auditor and professionalized the office. Dave Bout continued that for 10 years, and she is looking to continue that as well. The state auditor's office is one of the largest CPA firms in the state, and a CPA is necessary to be leader of that office. Second, she wants to continue to investigate and report on waste, fraud, and abuse in state and local governmental entities, and eliminate the opportunity for future frauds. And then third, she wants to continue to serve as taxpayer's watchdog by reporting directly to people on the condition of the state's finances and how lawmakers are spending your taxpayer dollars. So just to conclude, Mary Mosman has the necessary qualifications and experience. She's obviously been serving in that capacity since May of last year, and she humbly requests for your vote in the primaries and the upcoming November elections as well. So to find out more information or to volunteer, you can actually go to her website, marymosman.com. She does have a Facebook page as well, and I will be available afterwards as well if you have any questions. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Our next speaker is a candidate running for Congress. Please help me welcome Joe Grandinet.
allow me to introduce myself. It's an honor and a pleasure to meet you. My name is Joe Grandinette, born and raised in Des Moines, Iowa. I am an elementary PE teacher at Windsor Elementary, Des Moines Public Schools for 26 years. I am married, recently married for the first time. My wife is Chinese. My daughter is 10 months old, first marriage, first child, and they're in China right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in a crisis in our country. We are in a crisis in the federal government. I made it easy for the rest of the candidates to run for office. I'm the only candidate to challenge the incumbent in the Republican primary. And then he resigned. And then he resigned. And now we have all these other great candidates running. But ladies and gentlemen, mark my word, I am fearless. I think I'm the only candidate that got certified yesterday. Secretary of State's office. I am on the ballot. I am on the ballot to run for office. And it took a lot of hard work from all the friends and family members. I've been doing this since November, and it was a cold winter, a snowy winter, and I went from county to county to county to county, door to door, knocking on doors, meeting so many great people in the state of Iowa and in District 3, asking them to sign my petition. And they would say to me, Joe, why are you doing it? You're the candidate. I think it was important enough that I go out there and meet as many people as I can, because I have a responsibility to my campaign to do my part. Ladies and gentlemen, we have time-honored tradition on our side. We are the Republican Party. We are Abraham Lincoln's party. But we've lost our way. And the only way you change that is by electing somebody that will stand up to the liberals in Washington, D.C. And that's where I come in. I will never sell my soul, ladies and gentlemen. I will not waver. I've run for office before, folks. Running for a 20-year incumbent was easy. In 1998, I lost to a 24-year incumbent for Polk County Supervisor and lost by 13 votes. So I know what hard work and determination and guts and intestinal fortitude is all about, because I've been a coach, a ball player. I've had my own business owned by with it, Mr. Kramer. I just shut my business down last July 1st. I owned a sports nutrition store for 14 years, and I come from a business family. So, there's a lot of issues in this race, but I don't think there's much difference between all the candidates as far as being conservative. But who will have the courage to stand up to the people in Washington, D.C., who will not waver? And that is what you need, because we owe it to the people that we represent. We owe it to you. And that's where I come in. And so, as the primary goes along, people are going to get to know me more and more. And the things I've done for my life have put me in a position to run for this position. I've helped presidential candidate Steve Forbes, Polk County Sheriff Governor Tommy Thompson, spoke at the caucuses for Rick Santorum. 2 times I spoke up at the State House for a fair share when they wanted to stick us with the union dues for people that didn't pay union dues. Twice. I've done a lot with my life to put me in position to run for this office. And so, when it comes to making good decisions, I can do that. I can do that because I've been a teacher all my life, and I have touched many people through all the organizations I belong to, and the church organizations, and all the things I've done with my life has made me the man I am today, to be in the position to run for this office. And hopefully, God willing, I will be your representative for Congress. You know, Abraham Lincoln, he lost 8 times. 2 times he won, and the time that he lost, then he ran for president. I want to thank you very much for your time. Vote for Joe Grandinet come June 3rd. Thank you.
At this time, it's my privilege to welcome our state majority House Whip and also Iowa House Representative Chris Hageman. Well, thank you. I appreciate you all being here today. I appreciate the warm introduction. I'm Chris Hageman. I serve as the majority whip in the Iowa House, and I won't go over all of the things that we've been doing here in the state for you because Governor Branstad outlined them very well for you. House Republicans, along with the leadership of Governor Branstad, suffice to say, have made Iowa a better place to live, work, and raise a family. And we're proud of our accomplishments, and we're proud to go back out and talk to Iowans on the campaign trail again this fall, and we'll need your help doing that. I'm an attorney in my day job. I work downtown at the law firm Whitaker, Hagen, and Gustav, and along with my good friend Matt Whitaker, who's also running for the United States Senate. And I'll just tell you one little bit about that. He's a good friend, he's a good man, and he's a conservative champion that you'll be able to trust if you send him to Washington, D.C. Thank you. You'll have some of the other members of the House Republican Caucus will come and talk to you today, and I'll let them share with you what they're doing. I did want to highlight two members that are serving their first term that are Polk County legislators that you need to know about, and that's John Landon from Ankeny and Jake Highfield from Johnson. We have been much stronger, and Iowa has been much stronger because of these two folks coming to the Iowa House. They have worked hard, they've been diligent, and they have helped us be successful. John Landon is already the vice chair of our Ways and Means Committee, helping to cut your taxes, and Jake Highfield being the vice chair of the Appropriations and State Government Committee. These are serious responsibilities, and they're doing very well at it. But I wanted to leave you with a thought, is that you all are taking a Saturday to come out here to help advance the Republican Party, advance the conservative agenda, but it does not stop here. If you're willing to spend a Saturday here on a cold March day, we need you on a hot July afternoon or a hot July Saturday. And we need you again in the fall. We need you making phone calls and knocking on doors, whether it be for the governor's race, Senate, Congress, or your local House candidate, because that's what makes the difference. And we can send mail out, and we can run TV ads, and we'll do those things. But what really helps win elections is when people get involved and help. So figure out who your candidate is locally, wherever that person might be, and reach out to them if they haven't reached out to you first, and get involved, because we are very excited about November of 2014. We have made a lot of progress in the state, but we have a lot more to do. We've learned how to be successful through divided government and to still advance the conservative agenda while Mike Gronsdal is in control of the state Senate. But we need to do more. We need to elect a Senate majority. We need to grow the majority in the Iowa House so that we can truly put into place the things that we all here know will make Iowa even stronger, to fight back against what the federal government is putting down on us, to cut our taxes, to stop growing state government, and to make Iowa the best place it could possibly be. Thank you for your time, and God bless the great state of Iowa. Our next guest today is a candidate also running for the United States Senate. Please help me welcome Sam Clovis.
Thank you all for coming out on a Saturday. This is a great day to be an Iowan, great day to be a conservative, great day to be a Republican. I want you all to pay attention to what's going on here today, because you're going to have a lot of things to look at, particularly the platform, a lot of the other things about selecting the delegates. I know that's been quite a controversial topic, but it's something that must be done. So be patient, be Iowa nice, and get through it. My family will be joining fellow conservative Republicans in Plymouth County this afternoon to partake in our convention. I'm on the way to Adel, and then Indianola, and then to Pella, then to Oskaloosa, and to Iowa City, and to Bettendorf, then to Clinton, then to Marengo, and then to Sigourney. And then finally I'll get home tonight. Just about time to change the clock forward. Such is the bane of a U.S. Senate candidate. Iowa's a big state, and it's full of great Iowans. I'm here to talk to you a little bit today about the race. I know you have a tough choice to make coming up on June the 3rd. The one thing I do want to tell you is that you have to pay attention to things. I'm a Ronald Reagan guy. I'm old enough to remember Ronald Reagan. And I remember Ronald Reagan giving a speech in 1975 to the second CPAC. CPAC's going on right now in Washington, D.C. Ronald Reagan's speech said, let them go their way. This is when he was admonishing the Republican Party, who wanted to become more and more like the Democrat Party. And he said in 1975, does that sound familiar? He said, we want to become more and more like the Democrat Party. And Ronald Reagan said, let them go their way. What we need today are bold color differences. And frankly, there are no greater differences in the United States Senate race than me and Bruce Braley. Now, can you imagine the two of us on a stage? Any of you have ever seen me in a forum and see me, you know, in that approach or hurt me on the stump? I lick my chops, I can't wait. It brings out the old fighter pilot in me, and I can't wait to get up there and go one-on-one. I want you to give me that opportunity because the next senator from the state of Iowa has to have some preferred qualifications. One is I've served in the United States military for 25 years, and I still provide I was very fortunate to have gone to one of our service academies, graduated with a commission, served 25 years as a fighter pilot, and then had the opportunity to go into the private sector. I've actually signed the front of checks and not just the back of them. I've actually been able to walk the ground in Europe and the Middle East, and I've helped develop foreign policy and then helped to implement it. Today we face a lot of economic crises in this country. And don't you think it would be nice to send a senator to Washington, D.C. that understood economics? I happen to be an economist. Wouldn't it be nice to send somebody to Washington, D.C. that understood the Constitution, adhered to it, supported it, believed in it, and lived it every day? Wouldn't it be nice to have that person who has gone out into his community and developed a lecture series on the Constitution and who delivers in the best Homeland Security education program in the country, the first lecture and the first lectures on the Constitution? I'm that guy. I'm the guy you ought to be looking at. I'm the one you need to send to Washington. And as it says in Isaiah, the Lord spoke to Isaiah and he says, who shall I send? And Isaiah said, here I am, send me. Thanks so much for your time. We'll see you later.
Our next guest is a candidate for the U.S. Senate. Please help me welcome Paul Lundy.
Good morning, Polk County. My name is Paul Lundy, and I'm running for the United States Senate. Today is March 8th, and the year is 2014. I'd like to take you back exactly 70 years ago. Oh, I forgot to mention, that today, March 8th, happens to be my father's birthday. So, 70 years ago today, it was March 8th, 1944, and my father came to work that day right here where you are sitting, even though it was his birthday. He came to work right here where you're sitting because you are sitting in the middle of a huge area just south of the town of Ankeny. Then it closed with a high barbed wire fence, which, on March 8, 1944, was the Ankeny Ordnance Plant. On this day, March 8, 1944, the Ankeny Ordnance Plant was in full production, with 19,000 workers, most of them women, turning out and shipping 11 boxcar loads of a day of 30 and 50 caliber ammunition. They were getting ready for D-Day, the invasion of Europe by U.S. and Allied troops that took place almost exactly 3 months later on June 6, 1944. And on March 8, 1944, I was just 7 years old. In second grade, in the Slater, Iowa Elementary School, located just a few miles north of the Ankeny Ordnance Plant, looking forward to my 8th birthday, which took place exactly 1 week following my father's birthday, which, as I said, was March 8th of the year 1944, about halfway through the World War II period. And now I'd like to bring you back to today, 70 years later, and for your answer to this question: what kind of a Republican am I as a candidate for the United States Senate? I'm a registered Republican. Always have been. Never been anything else. I consider myself to be an Eisenhower Republican. We used to say, I like Ike. That's what Republican Party was like when I joined up. Ike smiled a lot. In fact, we all did. Because Ike was the first Republican president in 20 years. These are my Republican heroes. I have 3. Abraham Lincoln, number 1. Theodore Roosevelt, number 2. And Dwight Eisenhower, number 3. All of these great Republican presidents were builders. Abraham Lincoln is known for preserving the Union and freeing the slaves, but he was a builder. He launched the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad. Abraham Lincoln was a builder. Theodore Roosevelt is known for preserving world peace and our natural heritage. But Theodore Roosevelt also was a builder. He launched the successful effort to build the Panama Canal. Dwight Eisenhower is known for his leading U.S. troops to victory in World War II in North Africa and Europe. But he was also a builder. Dwight Eisenhower launched the construction of the interstate highway system. He was a builder. I'm running for the U.S. Senate, not for president, but I am running to be a builder. Not with your tax money, but I do want to be a builder. This is what I want to accomplish. On this piece of paper are 12 proposed constitutional amendments to modernize and reform our U.S. Constitution, which is somewhat out of whack. Just look at the deficit situation and you realize that situation needs to be fixed. Now, you can stop around my booth, get a copy. If you didn't get a copy, you can print a copy. You can go to my website. Am I out of time? Yes. Okay, 5 seconds. My website is www.lundyforsenate.com, lundyforsenate.com. You can print a copy of these 12 proposed constitutional amendments. Thank you very much.
is a candidate running for the U.S. Senate. I used to have to block him, actually, out on the line when he played football at Seliquini High School. He got all the talent, he got all the smarts, but I got all the hair. So, please help me welcome that picture.
Well, hello, Polk County Republicans. It hasn't been since about 1911 that Polk County's been represented in the U.S. Senate by someone from Polk County. And as a former and hopefully future delegate from Polk County, I'm asking for your vote. You see, when I was a senior at Seliquini High School in 1988, I went to my first Republican caucus. Got extra credit just for attending, but that wasn't enough. I got elected as a county delegate to the county convention. And 2 years ago, did the same thing. Went to my caucus and got elected. I'm one of you. I've sat in your chair more than I've been up here as a candidate. My name's Matt Whitaker. I'm running for the U.S. Senate. And I'm running on a platform of freedom and liberty. See, I'm not a career politician. I'm a small business owner. I've created jobs in Iowa, not in skyscrapers, but in single-story buildings with metal roofs. I went to the University of Iowa, some of you may know that. Played a little football for Coach Hayden Fry. And was an academic All-American, played on the last Rose Bowl team. But the most important thing that happened to me at the University of Iowa is I met my wife, Marcy. And we've been married for 20 years and have 3 kids. And this is the next generation. It's the next generation. Like my kids, Calvin, Allison, and Lincoln, and your kids, and your grandkids, that this election in Iowa for the United States Senate is about. I served as the United States Attorney for the Southern District of Iowa, which you're sitting in right now. But the best title I'll ever have is as a father and as a husband. Ronald Reagan says it best. Ronald Reagan said, it is as true as a law of physics that as government expands, freedom must and does recede. And right now, our freedom is under assault from an ever-growing federal government. We need freedom from Obamacare, a regulation and tax structure that is crushing small businesses. A statute that is taking away your freedom to keep your doctor, freedom to keep your plan, and your freedom to choose the coverage that you want. I was talking to a farming couple up in northwest Iowa, well into their 60s, well beyond having children. And they're required to have maternity care in their health care. And their prices went up. I talked to a small business owner here in Ankeny who saw their insurance premiums go up $8,000. They had to lay off an employee. That's job-killing legislation. It's what I will stand up against every day in the United States Senate. Economic freedom is also receding. As a former football player, I understand rankings. And when the United States of America is 12th in the world for economic freedom, something is wrong. We have a federal government that issues a new regulation every 3 hours. A federal government that continues to regulate industries and reach deeper and deeper into our economies and small businesses. You want to know why the economy is limping along and why we are not in full recovery yet? Look at the policies and the regulations coming out of Washington, D.C. A government that takes money from you out of your pockets, sends it to Washington, D.C., builds a cathedral to bureaucracy, and then returns cents on the dollar and makes you beg for it with strings attached. That is not a system that works. It's not the America I grew up in, and it's not the America when I'm your United States Senator that I will fight for every day. We also have some challenges right now in religious freedom.
is under assault. And we need to fight for our First Amendment rights, our Second Amendment rights, and Fourth Amendment rights also matter. We should fight for those too. So I know I'm out of time. And thank you all for being here. I'm on to Marshall County with 7 more on the way. I appreciate all of those in the room that are supporting me. I'm asking for your vote June 3rd, and God bless America. Thank you.
Our next guest is a candidate running for the United States Senate. Please help me welcome Mark Jacobs.
Well, good morning. Thank you all for being here. And first thing I want to say is thank you so much for getting up and giving out part of your day on a Saturday morning. This is a great thing about our country. People get involved. Thank you for what you do for helping our party, and thank you for helping make democracy work. When I was knew we were going to be at Ankeny High School, I was hoping we were going to be in the gymnasium, because up on the wall there is the picture of my niece Lindsay from the state championship basketball team. But you know what? This is a great room here as well. First thing I'd like you to know about me is that I am a business guy. I've not run for any political office before. I've never held any office before. But I care very deeply about this country, and I'm very concerned that we're on the wrong track. When I see a statistic like the fact that the number of families on food stamps has nearly doubled in the last 5 years, that is a clear sign to me that the opportunity to live the American dream, to be self-sufficient, is not working for a lot of American families. And that's the very principle that has made us the great country that we are today. This has always been a place where if you worked hard, you could have that opportunity to live the American dream, you could be self-sufficient, and it's that motivation to work hard that's allowed us to achieve the standard of living we have today. A little bit about me. I grew up born and raised in Des Moines. My dad, Frank, started a small family business, so I had the benefit of growing up around that and hearing all the dinner table conversations. My first job was delivering newspapers, and as we've had the cold, snowy winter, it brought back all sorts of memories of getting up at 3:30 in the morning to go deliver the Des Moines Register. And one of the things I always did is I had my customers leave their storm doors unlocked. And I'd put the paper inside the storm door so that they wouldn't have to be exposed to the elements in getting their morning paper. And that took a little extra effort, but you know what? It made a difference for my customers. Later in high school, I worked at the Hy-Vee Deli. I worked after school the night shift. I very quickly figured out what that meant. That meant I was scrubbing pots and pans that dirtied up during the day shift. But I learned a lot from those experiences. I learned the value of hard work. I learned the value of a dollar. Those are things that stayed with me my whole life. From a personal standpoint, my wife Jen and I have been married 25 years. We got 3 awesome kids. We're a Christian family. And one of the ways that we put our faith into practice is we've taken our entire family down to Central America each year for the last 5 years. And we've worked hand in hand with a family down there that was previously living in a dirt floor shanty. And we worked with them to build them a new home. So I've seen the transformative impact you can have on someone's life when you give them a hand up versus a handout. And that guides a lot of my thinking about how we do have a moral obligation to help those in need, but how we can help them with a handout as opposed to creating a class of dependency through perpetual handouts. I spent my entire career in the business world. I ended up being CEO of a company by the name of Reliant Energy, which is a large electric power company. I retired from that a couple years ago, and I've been focused on opportunities to give back to our state. And taught at Iowa State. I started a nonprofit organization to work on improving public education in the state. And I want to share one of the experiences I've had with you in the business world that I certainly learned a lot from. When I was originally brought into Reliant Energy, it was a company that was on the verge of bankruptcy. It owed over $6 billion to a large group of banks. Those banks had lost confidence in the leadership of the company, and they were ready to step in and take over control. And the day I walked in, I said, I am not going to let this company fail on my watch. And I had a couple principles upon which I was not going to negotiate. I wasn't going to settle for a short-term solution. I wasn't going to hand over control of the company to the banks, but I worked with them and I listened to them, and ultimately we were able to come up with an alternative plan that was better for the company, and it turned out to be pretty good for that group of banks as well, because they got repaid every penny that they were owed in less than 2 years, and we protected thousands of jobs. I know what it's like compared to fiscal mess. And more importantly, I've learned in the private sector how to work with people to solve problems. You know, it's easy to work with people who share your perspective, same points of view. It's a lot harder to work with people who have different points of view, yet still get done what needs to get done in a way that's consistent with your principles and values. And I think that's what's missing in Washington, D.C. today. So if you send me to Washington, D.C. as your next senator, I will commit to tackle deficits, debts, all the problems we have in this country, restore opportunity, and do that in a way of working with people. Thank you very much.
Our next guest is a member of the Iowa House. Please help me welcome Representative John Landon.
Well, good morning, Polk County Republicans. It's an honor to be here. I am very fortunate to serve House District 37 in the Iowa House. And 4 years ago, I decided to run for the legislature. I want to take you back to a time where we had a Democratic governor and a Democratic legislature, and we were absorbing double-digit annual increases in property taxes. We were seeing state spending out of control. We were seeing bonded debt pile up in this state. And I knew that this was going to have to lead to massive tax increases. And I decided at that time that I was going to oppose Governor Culver and the Democratic legislature in their efforts to take Iowans and spoil their budgets, to ruin the middle class by continuing to spend beyond the means of Iowans. And I continue to represent that viewpoint in the Iowa legislature. Last year, as chair of the Ways and Means Committee, I chaired our committee when we passed the largest tax decrease in Iowa history. This year, I'm continuing my work to double the homestead tax credit for Iowans across the state and the veterans tax credit for all veterans who own homes in this state. Last month, I led Republicans to break party lines and vote against expanding the red light traffic cameras in our transportation committee. After helping stop that bill, I continued my work and helped the Rules Committee to implement rules that will stop the proliferation, because the municipal governments were allowing the police forces to use those to fund their retirement. Talk about a conflict of interest. I won't stand for it. I have voted for every bill that respects and protects your right under the Second Amendment of our Constitution. My votes in the House have passed pro-life legislation, only to see them shredded in the Democratic-controlled Iowa Senate. I ask for your help to turn that around. Support our candidates for the Senate. Let's have a Republican-controlled Senate to work with the House and the governor, and we can bring common sense legislation to this state. Recently, I filed papers to run again to represent House District 37. My work there is not yet finished. I'm asking for your support and your help as I continue to lead the fight against the proposed gas tax increase. It is my belief that our schools work best with local control, not the Common Core. I firmly believe that we must operate with a balanced budget, spend less than we take in, not use one-time money for ongoing needs, and return the unused, unspent tax dollars to their rightful owner, the Iowa taxpayer. I'm proud to be a lifetime Republican, and I'm proud to represent House District 37 in the House, and I humbly ask for your support so I can continue my work for 2 more years. May God bless our country in this great state of Iowa. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker, please help me welcome Iowa Representative Kevin Kester.
Good morning. Thank you for listening to so many fine Republicans. I'm honored to follow John Landon. Like he, I'm from Ankeny, a public servant. Having been a former citizen of the year of the Ankeny Chamber, I'm proud to be an Ankeny person. In fact, this building is part of the district. So welcome also to House District 38. As I follow John Landon, I want you to know something special about him. Yesterday was his birthday. I don't know that it was number 39, but I'm going to use that number for another special reason. Today is the 39th anniversary of the day my wife decided to not only take the ring, but stick with me, and I'm very grateful to live together. I'd love to have her stand up, but she's off chasing the grandkids and meeting halfway, and that's what she thought was her priority today, but I still love her. Very much. So, the budget and other things have been brought to bear. You've heard good things about that. I want to offer a handout that I have. If I see you later in the day, I brought a piece of paper that spells out the projected budget for next year. It also spells out very clearly that it's through Culver and Branstad. 4 years of spending more than the legal limit, and 4 years of spending less than not only the legal limit, or the projected revenue, but less than the ongoing revenue. 4 years in a row. When Senator Jack Woodford came in, was the same time that Governor Branstad came in, and I'm proud to be one of the many House Republicans that saw a reversal in that. I want to spend the remainder of my time just speaking briefly to pro-life legislation. I was the leader of a bill regarding webcam abortions that passed 5543. Leader just means I was privileged with the opportunity to represent your other House Republicans on a very prominent piece, a half-good bill on abortion. I want to explain that because I've met a number of Republicans that don't know what the heck webcam abortion is. And I think it matters that we just be slightly more informative on what it is. Here's the deal. Webcam abortions happen from several counties away. There's a doctor in one place that pushes a button and allows a woman that he's probably never met to receive 2 regimens of pills. The first one kills the baby. The second one is to be taken 48 hours later, and that one expels the baby. This bill drew some Democrat votes, none from Polk County. But we did draw some Democrats that agreed it was an unsafe procedure not done against the regulations of FDA and even state law and the Iowa Board of Medicine. I'm glad that your House Republicans could bring forward a bill that mirrors, in part, the platform that we support here. I call it a half-good bill for one other reason. It is precisely half of the abortions committed might be the wrong word, that's what it should be, in our state in each of the last 3 years. And so, from that standpoint, it at least is a good bill. Soon, after my senator, you're going to hear from a rep that we need, because he will be a Polk County Republican that can reverse a vote that went against us on a life issue. Thank you for your support of that platform and for being here today.
Our next guest is State Senator. Please help me welcome Jack Whitaker.
Well, thank you very much for being here today and taking part in this process of the convention today. We appreciate everything that you guys do to help Republicans get elected in Polk County. It's a team effort, and we really appreciate all the help. My name is Jack Whitaker, and I've had the honor of representing Ankeny in the state senate for the last 3 years. It's a big responsibility, but it's a job that I truly enjoy. And 3 years ago, when I decided to run for the Iowa Senate, the state was facing many challenges, and I think specifically 3 big problems. The first problem was our state budget. We were facing a massive budget deficit after years of reckless spending under Governor Polk. The second was a leadership problem. Overspending, across-the-board cuts, hundreds of millions of dollars of debt passed on to our kids resulted from a lack of leadership in our state. And the third problem was a trust problem. We had created an environment where the people did not trust our state leaders. And fast forward 3 years, and I believe we have completely erased all 3 of those problems. Our state now has almost $1 billion surplus. We have a reserve accounts they are completely full. We have one of the lowest unemployment rates in the entire country at 4.2%. And recently we were named the 3rd best money state in the entire country. I'm proud of the work that we have done as Republicans in the Iowa Senate to fight for lower taxes, and fight for regulation, to protect the Second Amendment, and to protect the life of the unborn. I look forward to continuing this work in the Iowa Senate. Recently I announced that I was running for re-election in 2014, and I look forward to continuing to serve the people of Iowa if that is successful. I'm also excited about the prospects of finally stripping Mike Gronstal from his power as Senator. Last election cycle, we were 800 votes short across the whole state of being the Senate majority. Every vote counts, and we appreciate your support on those. The last thing I want to talk about is something that I've been working on a lot, and that is the state income tax. We need to continue to look at ways in Iowa to be as competitive as possible. And I believe the best way to do that is to drastically reduce or eliminate our state income tax. Across the country, 65% of the jobs are being created in the United States. In those 9 states, the one thing that they have in common is they don't have an income tax. If you look at the states, our neighboring states, the states we compete with directly, South Dakota does not have an income tax. Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, all trying to get rid of their income tax. And recently, Scott Walker in Wisconsin announced a big income tax cut, and with the goal of hopefully eliminating it. This is one thing that I'm working on that I'm excited about for the future. Being in a strong financial position as a state helps that out greatly. So I appreciate all of your support. I appreciate everything that you do for Republicans in Polk County. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Our next guest is a candidate for U.S. Congress. Please help me welcome State Senator Brad Zahn.
Very challenging to follow what I think is the future governor of the state of Iowa, Jack Whitaker. I have some good news for you all. Regardless how the outcome of this election goes, in the 3rd Congressional District, there is great people that are running. And we are lucky to have great. Most of you know me. I had this little hardware store in Urbandale. And a lot of people know me from that. And I worked for my dad, had a John Deere dealership in Indianola. And that's where I cut my teeth. Right now I have an IT company in West Des Moines that we've created, and we've grown it to over 200 employees. So I'm not going to talk to you about where I come from, because you're all my friends, as I really recognize, if I know most of you here. But here's the deal, is we do have good candidates that run this race. But what we need is we need to send someone out to Washington, D.C. that has been tested. You don't have to wonder where I'm at on issues because I've taken a vote on that. I, as the mayor of Urbandale, we had some of the highest property taxes in the metropolitan area. We dropped it down to the lowest in the metropolitan area. And the reason why we did is because we ran it like a business. Like I said, there's a lot of great people out there. We need someone that knows how to create jobs. We need someone that's been tested. I'm the controversial senator that has a bill to shut down the Department of Education. I also have a bill to get rid of Common Core. And you might have noticed that I really don't like those traffic enforcement cameras as well. Everyone that goes to Washington, D.C. that we send out there goes out with good intentions. But we need to send someone out there that has been tested, someone that won't collapse under pressure. Every once in a while, not very often, the Republicans get on the wrong track. We all know the Democrats get on the wrong track most of the time. But there is times when you've got to stand up and say no. Anyway, we have got to send someone that's been tested. I am so concerned. I have 5 kids, and I'm worried to death about what their future looks like. Their future is like we going out and talking to our kids and saying, son or daughter, Mom and I couldn't control ourselves. We spent $54,000 on the credit cards, and you all are going to have to pay for that. And we have got to send someone out there that will make tough decisions. I've had enough. We've got to send someone that's going to be strong and that won't collapse under pressure. We've got Obamacare. We've got the executive orders. We have got red tape and regulations. We've got the IRS looking into our business because we've been against the President of the United States. This has got to come to a stop. Now, all of us candidates will probably agree on the same issues, but we've got to send someone out there that says, no, I will not pass this debt onto my kids or younger people in the state of Iowa. It's got to come to a stop. I'd be very honored and privileged to have you consider supporting my campaign. If you go to bradzahn.com, there's a 1-minute video there that lays it out why I'm running for Congress. I will come home every weekend to spend time with my family and my kids, and most importantly, all the people that I represent. I will not make a career out of that. I'm on a mission to get the job done. And I'd be very, very humbled to have you consider supporting my campaign. God bless you all. Thank you most of all for coming here.
Next guest. Please help me welcome Iowa House candidate for House District 30, Zach Nunn.
Thank you, Polk County Republicans, for being here. I know it has been a long day. Even the mic is tired of listening to politicians speak. So I promise that I will be quick. I am coming from Altoona, Iowa. I'm an Altoona native, and I'm running in District 30. This has been an area in eastern Polk County, all the way up from Elkhart down to Runnels. So the big things I want to get out today, I'm going to do bullet points for you very quick. I want to defend your constitutional rights. I want to defend the right to life. And important to all of us, I want to